Hello guys, welcome to a new video, and today I want to teach you how to use Captureone. So if you are new to Captureone, you're switching from Lightroom, from Captureone, and this is your first time to use Captureone, I want to guide you on how to go about Captureone. So let's get right into it. Okay, so if you look at this is a pop-up window from Captureone. Right, already have some sections I created before now, but let's go to this bottom part that says new catalog or new session. So for those of us that are used to Lightroom makes use of catalog in the sense that when you import a new picture, it's going to date the new set of imports. So every time you import new pictures into the catalog, each pictures that were imported, they carry the dates. So if you want to see all the pictures that were imported on the 1st of January, 2nd of January, so you start seeing all the pictures based on the dates they were imported, and you can also view everything together. So that's catalog work with you having one big folder, and then every time you import pictures, they are going to be imported based on the dates. Now I don't like the catalog system at all. All right, so for me, I prefer section is more of like, if I am doing a job, all right, if I'm doing a job, I can just name it a session. I just know that everything I have in that particular session relates to only that job. So if I need to do a new job, I would create a new session. So for example, in my studio, what they do is that they use the dates. So when it's a new day, you just create a new session based on that date. So we have like 21st of February, we have like 1st of January. That's how it is. Okay, so you can also name the session based on the client. So let's say Blessing Word Emeka, for example, you could have that as the session. All right, so let's just take, for example, let's just use this as YouTube tests. All right, so that's the name of the session. Low once you have set the name, the next thing is the location. Take note of the location. Where is it going to be created? So you need to take note of that. Okay, so then other things can be left blank. All right, so I'll just click on OK. So once I do that, all right, it's going to create a blank session. So now, how do I bring pictures into this place? There are 3 ways of importing pictures. Okay, please do not drag and drop. All right, and then the first thing I've told you so far is use sections, don't use catalog. Okay, so now when you get to the point where you've created a session, number 2 rule you need to follow is do not drag and drop. All right, so there are 3 ways of importing pictures. Number 1, you can just connect. You can click on this capture folder, connect your camera via a USB cable. The moment you take a picture on your camera, it will pop up automatically in Captureone. So now when you do this, it will not record to your memory card. Instead, it just comes straight to your Captureone. So you don't need to set anything. The moment you have a section created, connect your camera, take a picture, it shows up. So that's 1. Number 2, you click on import. When you click on import, then the first thing you're going to do is come to import from. So here you get to choose where you want to import from. So I have some files here. Let me just so I have some files in a particular place I want us to. Okay, so I have these files here. Okay, so when I click on review for import, and all the pictures in that particular folder are going to be displayed. So once they are displayed, I can select the ones I want. If I want everything, I'll click on pick all, and it will pick everything. All right, so if I just need a few, I'll just select the few I need. All right, and then good to go. All right, before you import, you just need to check this other thing, which is import to. So make sure it is capture folder, that's your destination. All right, just make sure that one is checked. Then every other thing can remain the same. It doesn't matter. Every other thing can remain the same. The major thing is import from and import to. So every other thing you can just play with it, but it really doesn't matter so much. So you can select the pictures you want, or pick all of them. But this is not my favorite way of importing pictures. Well, let's just do let's just import 2. Let me just add this one to it, make it 3. So once I click on import, then the picture is going to be copied into this particular session, and we'll have the pictures here. So that's number 2 way of importing. The first way is to use your camera. When you connect your camera via USB cable, the moment you click the shutter button, it will show up here. All right. Second way is by using import. Then the third way is by, remember when you were creating this section, you know where it was saved on your computer. So I'm going to go there. So if I go back to this 2025 folder, I'll see that the job is the Captureone section. You see YouTube test. So once you see YouTube test, you can see it's YouTube test. A folder will be created based on the name of your session. So once you open the folder, you will see different folders plus this particular file, that is Captureone file. So in the situation where my Captureone is closed, all right, when I click on this, it's going to open this particular session. So even if you don't have Captureone open, you can just open the particular section from here. All right. Now, how do I import? This is the capture folder. So anytime I bring any picture, let's say, just hold on. So let's say I have, come on, why am I clicking the wrong thing? All right. Don't worry, let me just create a new. Let me just create a new Finder window. So let's say I have some files on my memory card, and I want to import them into my Captureone section. So I just go to the files, I copy them, maybe select them, the copy, or I can drag and drop, whatever way you want to use. All right. So you can drag and drop, you can copy, you can paste. So the moment I put the picture in this folder called Capture, and this folder is inside this session, see this section I created, which is YouTube test. You can see the folder YouTube test. All right. As far as I put the pictures inside this Capture folder, they are going to show up automatically. All right. So that's the third way, and that's actually my favorite way. I just open my file manager, copy the pictures from my card, and I put it inside the Capture folder that Captureone created for me. So now let me give you, let me just do a recap. So if you're going to create this session, all right, you come to File, you come to New Session, and then you name your session, and you take note of where it is going to be created. So once you name your session, you take note of where it's going to be created. When you create it, go to that place it was created, open the folder, then go to the Capture, and then paste all your pictures there. The moment you paste them, come here and then click on Capture folder. All the pictures are going to show up. All right. So that's it. So for those of us that are switching from Lightroom or Camera Raw to Captureone, the first thing you're going to have as a challenge is the interface. So if you're struggling with the interface, all you need to do is to come to Window, come to Workspace, then come down to where you have Migration and click on Migration. The moment you click on Migration, Captureone is going to rearrange it to look as if it is Lightroom. So that way it will not be so strange to Lightroom users. Okay, so you have all your files in the Captureone collection here. You have a bigger preview of your images. All right, so here you have your library module, your develop module, as Lightroom says it. So you're going to have everything you need on this side, and then your film strip of your collection is going to be below. So that's how it works. Okay, so we're just going straight to the point. No time to waste. So the first section you're going to need is the library. When you come to the library, right, so now I have selected the Capture folder. Now that I've selected the Capture folder, that's why I'm seeing pictures on the Capture folder. So if I delete any picture, so let's say I see a picture, I don't like it, and I press delete, this picture is not going to be deleted permanently. Instead, it's going to move to the trash. So when I come to trash folder, I'm going to see the picture here, so where I can now finally delete it permanently from my disk, or I can restore it. Okay, so that depends on what you want. So if you delete a picture from capture folder, it goes to trash. Okay, then if you export a picture, you can choose to export to the folder called output folder. So when I export a picture, right, to export, for example, I just right click, like, right click on the image. When I'm on this tool, the arrow tool, when I right click, it shows me export, and I can click on export. So if I choose any recipe of export right now, if I choose any recipe of export, I can choose where I want it to go to. I can choose it. So, but then by default, it's going to go to the session folder. And if it goes to the session folder, so let me just clean off this. So let me export this when I just click on export. So once it renders, okay, which I think it has, once it renders, I'll come to the output folder. Automatically, I see the picture. So that's how it works. And then this output folder, if I go to my file manager, I go back, I come to this folder called output, I'm going to see the same image there. You can see. So that's how it works. Okay, so let's go back to the capture folder. So on the capture folder, maybe you want to okay, just give me a moment. Okay, so on the capture folder, maybe you want to select your images. You have several images that was shot, you just want to call them. All right, so for example, let's say I just need 3 images out of the entire collection. So when I get to an image I like, all I need to do is that I can press between 0 to 5. So for example, if I press 0, I mean no star. If I press 1, so just see, if I press 1, you see a star appears here. So if I go to another image, if I press 2, 2 stars appears here. So it just depends on what I want. So if I want 3 images, I can just put them on a particular star rating. I can put them on 1. So anyone I like, I press 1. So if I want to see all the picture, I start 1. I'll just come to filters, rating, and I'll click on 1 star. When I click on it, I'm going to see all the pictures that I gave 1 star. So all the other pictures are still here, but I just filtered the ones I rated 1 star. So if I see a picture that, I don't want this picture anymore, I can just press 0 and it goes to the general collection. If I want to see everything, I just make sure I uncheck this, and then I'll see all the collection, both the ones with star, both the ones without star. So if I want to see only the ones without star, I click on none. So if I have 5 stars, so what I normally do in the studio, maybe the first client, because we in the studio we do based on dates. So if we have 5 clients that particular day, client 1 is going to select using 1, client 2 is going to select using 2, client 3 is going to select using 3, like that to 5, so that each of the clients, they know the number they're going to use to pick the pictures that they want us to edit for them. So I hope that is clear. So before I go over to more things you need to know about Captureone, I hope this video is making sense. If it is, please like, please subscribe, please drop a comment if you love this video. So let's get right into it. So the next thing you're going to need to know about is the tether. This tether section, when you connect your camera to your computer and Captureone is open, your camera is going to show up here. So here you can control literally anything in your camera. You can literally set the white balance. You can do anything at all on your camera from this place. You can even focus, you can take picture, you can do recording, anything at all. You can do a lot of settings that are not manual settings on your camera. Okay, so like there are some settings that requires a physical dial on your camera. Those ones you cannot set them here. The ones that doesn't require physical dials, those are the ones that can be done here. Okay, so let's go on. So that's for the tether. So I only use it when I'm doing product shoots and I mount my camera on the tripod. I just take a picture from my computer. I don't need to go to my camera, so I can press the shutter button right from here as far as it's connected. So let's go on. The next thing is adjust. When you come to adjust, this is like your develop module in in Lightroom. Okay, the first thing is the histogram. The histogram tells you the graphical representation of the elements in your images, like the colors. All right, now it goes from the darkest shades to the brightest shades. So these are different colors that are here: red, green, yellow, blue, and how much of them are in the dark area, how much of them are in the midtones, how much of them are in. So we know how histogram works. It's just a graphical representation that just shows you the exposure graph, all right, of your image. Then the next thing, which is very, very wonderful, in fact, these are part of the reasons why I love Captureone more than Lightroom. Okay, this one, the layers. Now it's so beautiful because Captureone, you can stack layers, all right, and there are different type of layers. So the first thing you're going to see is, you see this top here, you have subject, and background, and people. Now if you have the latest Captureone, you're going to have it like this. If you don't have it, that means you don't have the updated version. So just try and get it updated, because these masks are all AI masks. So if I want to select the subject, I can select the subject in one click. When I just click on subject, and then it will render in few seconds and create a new layer that selects just the subject. All right, once that is done, I can just come here and adjust what I want with the subject. You can see only the subject is affected because I clicked on subject. So now if you come to people, you can see different areas that you can select. So if, for example, if I want only the lips, I can click on lips and I click on create mask. The moment I click on it, you can see that Captureone is going to select only the lips, and I can adjust the color, the exposure, anything I want to do to the lips. So I can increase saturation of the lips, I can increase the exposure. You can see how it is affecting only the lips. So now, in a situation where maybe, let me look at this image now. Look at this image. So now look at the face of the model. All right, so the face is, because light was touching more of the face than the body. So if I come to this place and I click on face skin and I click on create mask, Captureone is going to select only the face. So to see the area that Captureone has selected, press M. M means mask. You can see how it selected the face without the lip, without the eyebrow, without the eyes. So if I want to reduce the exposure of the face, I can easily reduce the exposure of the face. I can easily reduce the highlight of the face and maybe play around with the saturation. So I can adjust the face without having to select manually. So the Captureone AI helps you to do that. Okay, so and you can select the body as well. So if I want the body, I can just click on this and I'll click on create mask, and then I'll select the body. So now if I press M, you can see it has selected other parts of the body. Okay, now another thing that's also sweet is that you can select all the different masks, and if you select where it says separate mask, when you click on create mask, it's going to create all the masks and separate them. So if I press M, so the first mask is for the eyes, the eye whites. Second one is for the iris and the pupil. Third one is for the hair. Next one is for the lips. Next one is for the eyebrow. Next one is for the face. Next one is for the body. So I created all this with one click, and the Captureone separated all the masks, so I can literally move a lot of things around. So which is very, very wonderful. Now another thing with Captureone mask is that you can also create mask using magic brush or using the AI brush. Now let's click on the AI brush, for example. With the AI brush, all you just need to do is come close, just move your cursor to any point. It will highlight what is there if you would like to select it. So for example, if I want this hostel, when I just click on the hostel, Captureone automatically selects the hostel, so I can easily brighten or reduce the exposure of the hostel. All right, so that's how it works. Then if you're using the magic brush, you can just take the magic brush and you click, just like it is in Photoshop. You have magic wand, so when you click, it selects similar colors around that area. Select similar colors around that area. That's how it works. Once you click, it selects similar colors around that area, and at the end of the day, it just keeps going around. So that's how that works. Why the manual brush, the way the manual brush works is that you're going to manually select yourself. This is the manual brush. So only where I brush on, that is the area that will be affected. If I want to erase, I'll come to erase and I can erase it. Then there's also magic erase. There's also magic or AI erase, so which is just the opposite of these three brushes. Okay, so if I want to delete a layer, you press the minus to delete the layer. If I want to create a new layer, I come to the plus. Then you see this arrow close to the plus, click on it and you see 4 types of layer. So the first layer is an empty layer. This empty layer means there is no effect. So if it's an hidden layer, so if I move my exposure, nothing will be seen until I take my brush to paint, or I take my AI brush or magic brush. That's only when the effect will show up in the areas that I have brushed. So that's what an empty layer does. Okay, but if I create a filled layer, which is the opposite, the filled layer, when I increase my exposure, it's affecting the entire image at the same time. So that's what the filled layer does. Then when I create the clone layer, only the clone tool can work. So for the clone tool, you're going to hold alternate, sample an area you like, then go and brush on an area you don't like, and Captureone would take care of it. So this area is too bright, so maybe I just move it to the dark area and automatically see what was there. See, it has been removed just from that. Then if you create the heal layer, it will give you the healing brush. With the healing brush, you just brush on the area you don't like, and Captureone just looks for a similar area to fill it. Right? But if it fills it, you can also move it. It's still movable. You can decide to move it to any area. So, but it just tries to fill it by himself. So that's what that does. Let me see any important parts here. The gradient, radar, all those ones are just normal, regular. So this is background. If I want the background subject, if I just click on background, it will just create a mask of the background that I can use to increase or decrease the exposure of the background automatically. All right. If I want to see the mask of my background, I press M on my keyboard, and I don't know why it's not displaying now. Okay, it's just rendering. It's rendering, yeah. So M to hide, M to show. A lot of apps are running on my computer. I believe that's why it's a bit slow. So, but let's move on. So that's how that works. Then I think I've explained all these other tools. This is the heal tool. This is the clone tool. So if I take the healing brush, for example, the moment I click, it will create its own healing layer so that it can be able to fill, that area. Then when you create a layer, let's say I create a field adjustment layer and I expose to the ending and it's not enough, I can create another field adjustment layer. I can create another field adjustment layer and continue from where I stop. So you can easily stack effects. So that's something I love about Captureone. And then when you have a layer like this, there are many other options. When I right click on that layer, there are many other options of things that can be done. I can clear the mask, I can invert the mask, I can rasterize the layer, I can refine the mask, I can do luma range, I can copy a mask from another layer. So let's say I do something like this. Let's say I create the subject. So I created a subject and I did this adjustment. But then I create another layer. But this layer, I want to do an adjustment and I want it to affect the subject. I can just right click on it and say copy mask from subject. When I click on that, the moment I do the any adjustment on this new layer is going to affect exactly the area that this layer under is going to carry the same mask. So if I press M now, it's going to carry the same mask as this underlying layer. So you can copy mask. And then this mask here, I can decide to right click and invert the mask. So, it has a lot of control. You can do all of that. Then another beautiful thing is, let's say I create a layer like this. And I take my manual brush. And with the manual brush, let me select the hand. So I just do a rough selection of the hand. So now when I do a rough selection, there's a space at the middle. If I right click, you see fill mask. When I do fill mask, it fills the middle. Then when I come back to the layer, right click, you come to refine mask. When I click on refine mask, I can tell Captureone to help me complete my selection by increasing the refine. It just looks for similar areas to where I've selected, and it selects them, apply, and that's it. It makes your selection easier if you're doing the manual selection. Okay, then what else? So let's say I create a new layer and I do an adjustment. Let's say I work on the white balance like this, maybe like this, but I don't want it affecting. I only want this to affect maybe, you know, the dark areas of the image. I can right click and come to Luma range, and then I can tell Captureone remove it from the dark areas, or sorry, remove it from the bright areas. I can say remove it from the bright areas, and then I will feather it so that it affects only the dark area. So now the reason why it is showing green is because of my mask. So this mask, my mask shows green. So if you want to change your mask color, you can come to file. No, you can come to Captureone, come to setting, and then come to appearance. And on that appearance, your mask color, you can change it. Mine is green. All right. So that's where I change my mask color. So this particular adjustment is affecting, you know, the darker area, just like blend if in, you know, in Photoshop. So that's that for mask and this. Okay, yeah, one more thing. So if I create a new layer, I can apply my presets. So I can right click on this layer and apply my presets. So if I have custom presets I want to use, you know, the presets just applies. So if it's too intense, I can reduce the opacity. So, you know, unlike Lightroom, where you just apply the preset, but this one you can apply it to a particular layer, and that layer you can reduce the opacity of that layer. Okay, and you can stack several presets. So I can create another new layer, and then I'll go to apply adjustment from and click another preset. So I can stack a lot of presets. Okay, stack a lot of presets, and I can reduce the opacity to get a unique style. Okay, so that's how to get that done. Then so that's that for layers. So if you scroll down, you have style brushes. I really do not use style brushes, so don't worry, you're not going to miss it. Then match look. Now this match look is still, for me, I still feel it has not gotten there. So the idea is that if you have an image and then you want to imitate that color grading style to another image, well, it's still not there yet. So I really don't use this match look. Okay, so you select a picture, and then that picture becomes your reference. Then Captureone uses the AI to analyze your colors on that picture. Even if you've edited it, or if it's JPEG, anything, any picture at all, it just tries to imitate what is there on another image, and it's not there yet. I feel it's not still giving good results, so I just don't use it. The white balance, just like what you know, exposure, just like what you know, eye dynamic range, just like what you know. So let's scroll down. Let's see. Yeah, what you know already. Clarity, what you know. Dehaze, what you know. Curves, what you know. Levels, what you know. You know levels already. Levels is in Photoshop, but it's not, I don't think it's on is it on Lightroom? I don't know. It's been long I use Lightroom, so I can't remember. But levels, the way it works on Photoshop, so that's how it works here. Then black and white, if you want to enable black and white, and then you can now adjust the, the luminosity of each of the colors, how bright or how dark they will be. So you can do that. Then color editor, this is one amazing part I love in Captureone. So color editor, so this is the basic the HSL that we have in Lightroom. So when you come to this last part is just general hue and saturation. Then if you come to this place, is red, orange, yellow, the individual colors. So now the other part we have is advanced. So advanced is, maybe for example, I don't want to use it, I just come to advanced. I don't want to guess the color, I can just take this eyedropper and say I want to adjust this red. When I click on that red, it will select it, and then I can reduce the saturation of that red. But now you can see that as I'm doing that, it's affecting some other areas. If I don't want it to affect some other areas, I can narrow my selection here. I can narrow my selection. So if I want my selection to be narrow, I can just do that. I can do that on this point. Okay, so the more I narrow it, then you see the smoothness. If I reduce smoothness, it reduces how much of other external colors it's adding. So you can see how I'm able to adjust that color from this control. So this one gives you more control to be able to pinpoint the particular color. So let me use another example. So let me take this eyedropper tool and click on the background. So on the background, you can see, so I can desaturate the background, all right? But you can see that these other areas were not selected. So I can expand this, maybe expand it towards the side of the green, so that all the sides can be selected, maybe more, a bit more. So if I move around, I can move the hue, I can move the lightness, and I can do all of that to this color range that I've selected. All right, so that's how the advanced work. You just pinpoint the color and you can work on it. So you can do several colors. I can add this yellow and do what I want to do. Now, if I want to see only the color I've selected, I can also do this, what they call view selected color range. When I click on this, every other thing turns black and white. Only what I selected, I will see the color. So I'm just going to remove some reds because I want to focus more on the yellow. Remove some reds because I want to remove a skin. Then I want to reduce the smoothness. So now I'm more I've selected the horsewhip. Okay, so if I want the horsewhip to become white, that's something I can do, all right, by refining my selection. So I can uncheck view selected range, then I can desaturate it, and then I can increase the lightness and it becomes pure white, all right, instead of yellow. And that's how I did it, by selecting using advanced. Okay, then the next one is skin tone. So for skin tone, right, so let's say I select so for skin tone, most times I advise people to use mask, right? Use body mask, use face mask, so that it will be only that color that will be affected. All right, so you don't want it to affect other things. Let me use another image. So let's use this for example. So you can see that see the neck yellowish, look at the hand reddish. So if I select this now, I select this yellow. If I select this yellow as my range, what Captureone is going to do is that Captureone is going to look at our skin tone and try to move the color to look like what I selected. So what do I mean? So if I come down to uniformity, now you see uniformity, and I come to hue, if I increase hue, look at what happens. This reddish hand turned to look like this yellowish neck. Let me go back like this. See how red this is. See how yellow this is. The moment I move uniformity up, here turns to yellow, because when I was selecting, I selected here as my reference. So any color I select as my reference, look at the entire image, it's turning yellowish. Look before and then look after. So any color you select at the beginning when you're dealing with skin tone, it means that every other skin tone are going to move towards that skin tone. So now let's do another example. I'm going to reset this by coming to this place and click reset. I'll take this and let me select the color on a hand. That's the reddish tone. So the moment I come to uniformity, if I increase uniformity, everything will be turning towards that reddish tone. If I increase saturation, to be going towards the reddish tone. If I increase lightness, it's trying to go make everything look more uniform, but towards that reddish kind of tone. So that's how this works. So I always advise use mask, and then less is more. All right, so let's move on to the next. That's for color editor. So the next thing is color balance. So for color balance, we have the master I don't use the master. I prefer to go to shadow, midtones, and highlight. So when I come to shadow, I can decide the color I want in the shadow. This it's just like color balance you have in in Photoshop, and this is replacing split tone in your your Lightroom. Okay, so that's for color balance. Then the next thing we have is sharpening, which is normal. You know that already. We have noise reduction, lens correction. You already know that. Vignetting, you already know that. Keystroke, you already know that. Film grain, just to add noise. Then this last one is one of my favorite, which is the ICC profile. So what does this mean? So when I come to an image like this, I can choose the color interpretation if I want it to be interpreted with Nikon or with with any color interpretation. So what this means is that, for example, I shoot the picture on a Nikon camera, I can ask Captureone to interpret as if it was shot on a Sony. So that is possible. So now this applies to a lot of photographers that use different cameras for a wedding event. So if you use different cameras, if you change all their color profile to a single color profile, when you apply a preset, it's going to look similar on all, depending on the exposure, of course, and the white balance of the camera. But then the basic interpretation of the colors are going to look similar because you change the ICC profile. So you can take advantage of that. I use that a couple of times. So the next thing is styles. Styles is just another word for presets. So this way you can select your preset. So the normal way you can do it in Lightroom, but I don't apply my preset this way. Instead, I create a new layer and then I apply from there. So the next one is the metadata, where you have all the informations of your image. Then the next thing I didn't tell you guys was that, for example, I edit an image, maybe I come to exposure, just do some basic exposure, then I can copy it using this arrow that is going up. When I go to another image, I can just click on the arrow coming down and it will paste, and I can select multiple images and paste them at the same time. So that's something that Captureone has. I can just select Ctrl A and then I just press the arrow and it will just paste on all of them at the same time. All right, yeah, I love this thing about Captureone, that whenever I select an image, if I select the next image, they just come side by side. So sometimes when I'm confused which picture to go for, which picture to not go for, and I'm trying to select, when I have the two side by side, I can say, okay, I want this one, I'll just click on this, it will star this one star, and this one doesn't have star. So I can go to the next two comparison, look at it, I can star this one star. So that's how I use this this group view. Okay, so let me see, is there anything else I've not shown you? Okay, this focus mask, but I don't use it. Exposure warning, I don't use all of this. Grid, I don't use this. Right, so I've shown you the basic things I use. Zoom in, zoom out. Yeah, there's a before and after. So if I work at an image, you want to see the before and after, because you did this on the background layer, you cannot off and on this background layer, so you have to do it here. So most times I prefer to work non-destructive. I always create a layer so that if I do any adjustment, I can just turn on and off the layer to see if I like the result instead of going here. So, and then if I make any adjustment, all right, I can undo here and I can also reset. So if I want to reset a particular tool, let's say I make an adjustment here, I can reset this tool with this bent arrow that is going back. So that's pretty much what you need to get started. All right, I believe this video is able to put you on the right track on how to get started with Captureone. Okay, one more thing I did not share. So once you're done editing Captureone, you can right click on the image and you can click on edit with, and you can choose the Photoshop version that you have, and it will ask you for some basic settings, and you just click on edit and it will send you straight to Photoshop. Now when you come to this right click, there are two things. You have open with, you have edit with. Please, whenever you're dealing with raw files, let's say NEF, you know, A arrow W, C arrow 2 and all of that. Make sure you do edit with whenever you edit in Captureone. But when you have sent a picture to Photoshop, it creates a TIF file, which is this is a TIF file. So if you want to open this TIF file to continue from when you stopped in Photoshop, you can just right click and do open with. And when you do open with, when you get to Photoshop, it will continue from where you stopped. If you were editing Photoshop, you saved and you exited, you can continue. All right. But when you are editing the exact raw file, maybe an NEF, CR2, when you're sending it to Photoshop, you do edit with, not open with. So I hope this makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Please do well to recommend my video, recommend my channel, and give me suggestions of what you would like to learn next. And I hope to see you in the next one. All right, thanks guys, and do have a good one.